Good. Yes.
No need to raise your hand or anything like that. We're just going to start.
Hello. How you doing?
Just pass it down. Appreciate your cooperation. Saturday press conference will be with our first pick at the stadium, FedEx Field, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock Saturday, but we'll have conference calls and anything later. See Ross Taylor later, he'll fill you in all the details. But 1 o'clock FedEx Field. So, Scot McCloughan.
Hello, everybody. How you doing today? All right, I'm going to start this off. I want to welcome you all here. But first and foremost, I want to put this out there because y'all know the question is going to be asked. We are going to exercise the option on RG3, the 016 option. So that took place this morning. We talked to Robert. We talked to the agent. And very positive feeling in the building right now. So with that said, we'll go ahead and rock and roll.
Well, can we get some more details on that, Scott? When did you guys arrive at that decision?
We arrived a while back. You know, we have till Monday to make the official announcement with the league office. So we just decided with you guys all being here in the platform today, just go ahead and put it out there. So, yeah.
What went into the decision making? Obviously, it's fully guaranteed for injury. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. But what did you see that made you feel like this is a guy we want to make?
He's a good football player. He's got good tape out there. You know, everybody knows what he did in 2012 when he was Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. You know, in this full off season, you know, second year in the system, but being healthy, being able to go through the off season, I'm looking really excited, looking forward with all three quarterbacks, and just watching them as Phase 2 gets going on the field, and I start watching them move around and watch them make plays.
Okay, to the draft, if I could. There's been a lot of talk about the possibility of trading down from the number 5 spot. I think you mentioned that you'd take phone calls on it. When you're making a decision like that, you know, you've got an offer. How do you balance? I guess quality versus quantity is what you're looking at. How do you make that call?
Yeah, a lot of times if they're calling us to move up to our spot and we're moving back, we have the leverage. So what I can do is say we're going 5 spots, say we're going 8 spots, say we're going 15 spots. I can kind of look at the board, get an idea who might be there. You know, we'd love to get more picks in this draft. We have our 7 originals right now. I'd love to get 10 plus out of this thing. But if not, we'll be okay. If we stay put at 5, we're going to get a good football player at 5. But, you know, it's just you go with the board, you know, and you get a pretty good idea what team needs are, what teams are coming for, and that stuff. The last thing you want to do is take yourself out of a really good football player. Get too cute with yourself and move back too far. And all of a sudden, you know, I have, say, 10 to 15 guys I want to pinpoint that I think can come in day one and start. You go too far back, you can lose out on some of those guys. So you got to be careful.
Do you know? Is it a gut feeling is what it comes down to, or do you use the point system at all, or anything like that?
Yeah, no, it's gut. You know, and they got a value chart for points. You know, say if they want to come to 5, they owe us this, and this. A lot of it's gut, but also we've done a lot of preparation for this. And our board's almost completely set. Next 2 afternoons with the coaches, then it will be set. But yeah, it's a lot goes into it. You're just not going to do it. And we'll talk scenarios prior to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. People might be calling and sniffing around about the pick.
Scott, obviously you've been active in free agency on the defensive side of the ball in particular. Could you talk about how you evaluate the team's needs on the offensive line and put any meat on the bones you can about the qualities you like and value in offensive linemen?
Certainly. You know, again, we're not going to draft for needs. Even with free agency, we didn't go in thinking, okay, we're going to stick all on defense. We went in on special teams, offense, defense, and it just worked out to be defense, you know. But we feel we got some good football players, not just on the field but off the field, high-character guys that come from winning organizations and know what it looks like. You know, we're going to approach free agency in the draft every year the same. It's just getting good football players. You know, you always have injuries, there's trades opportunities and stuff like that. So if you can just keep stockpiling good players, the organization's going in the right direction. And what do you like? Certainly. It's pretty much any position, but special offensive line, big guys, intelligent guys, competitive guys. You know, it's about the 5 guys up front. It's not about the 1 guy. It's all 5 guys working together. But I think it's a big man's game, and I think size and strength and like I said, passion, toughness is very important up front. If you can control the line of scrimmage on either side, it's a pretty good start. Yep.
Scott, what single position in this year's draft class do you think has the most high-end talent, and which position do you think might be the deepest in terms of potential NFL?
I don't really want to give that away. You know, every draft takes on its own characteristics, its own qualities. In every draft, it's going to have its own identity at certain positions, you know, but It's as with any draft, it's what you do with it. You know, they'll say, okay, well, there's just more quarterbacks last year compared to this year or whatever. You know, everybody's board's set differently, but I just know every time we pick, there's going to be somebody on that board that ends up being a good NFL football player at any position.
If you guys stay at 5, there's probably going to be a lot of outside linebacker or defensive line prospects waiting there for you. What qualities do you look for in those types of guys, I guess? What stands out?
Well, as let's say a defensive end / outside linebacker in our 3-4 scheme, you look for a pass rusher. You know, that's the most important thing, especially with the will, the weak side, outside linebacker. But, again, you want size, you want some length, you want speed, you want toughness, you want strength. You want to be able to not just win with speed and quickness, but also win with power. And they're hard to find. You know, we're very lucky to have, you know, Ryan on the team, you know, and he's one of those players. And hopefully, you know, not just in the first, but throughout this draft, we can add a couple more pass rushers.
You look at what you've done on defense as far as bringing in 5 new faces, potential starters on top of that. Would you hesitate at all? I mean, if there's a, you know, let's just say hypothetically a Leonard Williams were to fall down to number 5. I know you can't tell us yes or no, but would you hesitate if you feel like the position is already strong at this point?
You know what? I would not hesitate because, like I said, we have to add good football players, especially up front on both sides of the ball. But it might bring a trade more into play, you know, if all of a sudden, you know, because we do feel pretty good about our defensive front. But also, you know, with Terrence, he's on a 1-year contract, you know, so we got to protect ourselves. And anytime you can get a good defensive lineman in draft, you need to take them. It's very hard to come by.
Do you have any update on the contract talks with Kerrigan and Trent Williams?
They're ongoing. Nothing substantial, but there's been discussions. We're not in a hurry to do it. We'd like to. You know, we see them as quality Redskin football players. You know, and they're both highly talented, so it's a big contract. But discussions are going on. We're definitely staying in touch with the agents.
To follow up on a couple other questions, you mentioned you had until Monday. Will you wait until Monday to officially exercise that option, or are you doing that?
Yeah, we'll do it Monday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the importance of bringing in character guys. I did want to ask you about Chris Culliver. Was one of the signs, and you probably know him going back. What was that vetting process like?
We do background checks on everybody. We know the guys coming out. I remember the majority of the guys coming out over the last 20 years with stuff they did or supposedly did. And then also what happens while they're in the league. You know, we do a background check with the league office every guy before we sign them. And we do our own research. And it's very important to me, especially like in free agency, when you bring in considered starters, you know, or bigger name guys, veterans, that they are good guys because they're going to be the leaders of the young guys that we draft. We did all of our research on Chris Culliver and came back good, everything, all the research we needed to do. And, you know, the last thing I want to do is try to embarrass his organization, you know. And bringing in so-called bad guys, I won't do that. If there's any kind of question mark that it might be a bad guy, we're not going to do it.
Scott, what part of the skill set of an offensive lineman is most important to you? Footwork, hand punch?
Well, it depends on position. Are you talking about tackle, guard, center?
If you can separate both?
Well, the thing with tackles, especially the left tackle, you know, which we're very lucky to have Trent here, you know, size, arm length, foot quickness, flexibility in the lower, being able to adjust movement. You know, I think your tackles, you want to be your bigger guys, you know, taller, longer. With our guards and with Coach Callahan and what our plans are is power, you know, inline power. We're talking, you know, 320 plus hopefully, and just coming off and headbutting and going. You know, we want to be able to run the football. I think it's very important. It sets up everything else for us. And then as a center, of course, he's usually the leader. He needs to be highly intelligent, be able to read the defenses and make the checks he needs to make. But again, at any one of those positions, we want big guys. We want smart guys. We want tough guys. I'll give a little bit on athletic ability, especially inside, guard and center, for just a consistent football player that gets out there every day and you know exactly what you got, you know.
Scott, you're part of ground-up operations in Seattle and San Francisco. You've had 3 months now to look at the roster, right? How is this one a little different than the other two?
Well, I don't want to really, you know, knock the past rosters, but this one has more talent at certain skill positions than I had in San Francisco. You know, in San Fran, you know, we did have the first pick in the draft, and there was a reason for that because we had the worst record the year before. But, you know, I would say here just because of skill position, there's more talent. But, again, we need to add at every spot. You know, we need to add like we did in San Fran, we did in Seattle, add just quality football players. You know, they're going to come in and understand it's not about the individuals and some of the parts on both sides of the ball and special teams. You know, I think it's very important as we draft later on through this draft, the special teams comes into play big time, covering kicks and punts or returning kicks and punts. It's a third of the game. I think it's very important. But I love to hit some superstars through this draft, and who knows if we will or won't. But I know this: we're gonna get good football players that you know what you got every day, consistent, competitive, tough guys. It's all about the team.
Hey, Scott, take us through the process on Thursday night. Fifth pick comes up. Your counsel, who you talking with, final say obviously is yours.
Yeah, all the work's going to be done by Thursday morning. Matter of fact, if you ever were able to walk in, you just kind of start laughing because it's just so laid back. The board's set. I don't want confusion. The only time it gets a little anxious is if somebody calls and offers a pretty dang good trade, or two teams call. That's when things might get a little bit testy at times. But I pride myself, and I want that room just to be steady, like I do the football players. If things can come at us, that's fine. And if we want to trade back, we trade back. If not, we stay there. We take the best football player available.
Scott, when we talked to you in Arizona, you said you would consider drafting Marcus Mariota with the number 5 overall pick if he were available. How does picking up RG3's fifth-year option impact whether?
It does not affect our draft process whatsoever. Like I said, if we get to the 5th pick and the best player is a quarterback, we're taking the quarterback.
So you would be open to carrying 4 quarterbacks?
Oh yeah, well, you got other options too, with Kurt and with Colt, But we like the 3 we have, but again, we're not going to pass on a good football player. There's no reason to.
Are there any of these guys that won't go in the first round? Are there any of them that you think can make a potential impact on this league in say the next 5 years?
Talking about quarterback?
No, just the players that.
Oh yeah, certainly. Oh, yeah.
Is there any specific players that you think?
I can't say that, but there are. I have a handful. All the way through my draft board, all the way down to the 7th round, I feel really good about. I got a gut that they're going to, if not come in and be a starter, they're going to be a quality backup early on with the ability to start down the line. But again, that's when special teams comes into play. With the DBs, with the receivers, with the running backs who you take later on, they need to be a good core special teams guys. That's all right.
We hadn't talked to you since the Deshaun Golson trade. What do you see in him? How do you envision him helping out? And what do your history there? How much does that play in?
It played a lot into it. I was very lucky to draft him, and when I was in San Fran, he was a corner coming out of University of Washington. But I got to know him as a person. He's always been a good football player. He's a physical guy. He's a really good leader for the young guys. He's all about football. And I really respect that. But I was lucky enough too, like with Ron Johnson, to have past working knowledge of them as people, workers in the off season, workers during the season, and then he's a forceful impact on game day, big time.
I think a lot of us could just pull up a tape and say, "Hey, that guy's a good football player." But what goes into figuring out if this guy is you want a guy who's going to be good 2, 3, 4 years down the road? What goes into figuring that out?
That's when I'm very lucky coming in here because I know a lot of the personnel staff that was here, college or pro, and they do an excellent job. They're really, really thorough on the background. A lot of stuff on tape, you can see aggressiveness, you can see want to, you can see consistent play every game. He's busting his tail, gets the ball or running the ball or whatever. But a lot of it, like you said, a lot of people sit here and watch a game and say, okay, that's the best player on that team. This guy scores 3 touchdowns or whatever. But you got to get in here and here. And that's what's so hard. And when mistakes are made, especially early on, it's because you don't know that well enough. And you can't know it 100%. But with our guys, if I said it one time, I probably said it 100 times to him, listen, let's find out what makes him tick. Does he have that it factor? Understand we're going to have a 2-game losing streak. Is he one of the guys that's going to pull us out of it, or is he going to stay in it? I want those guys that are they're all football. They're intelligent, but they're passionate. They want to be successful as a team, not as an individual, but as a team.
Yes, I wanted to ask your current thinking on something we asked you maybe a month or so ago, and it involves Kirk Cousins. Have you entertained or gotten any overtures or offers or even feelers from another team interested in a trade? And is that something you would consider?
We have not got any offers, official offers, no. The thing I like about Kurt, and same with Colt and with Robert, is they're young quarterbacks. You got to understand that. I don't know, everybody thinks they're in the NFL, they're going into their 4th season. They're still young, especially to the second year of this new system they're in. We'd always take phone calls, but for any of our players, and listen to it. And if it's a win-win for the organization, then we'll definitely consider it. But we're not trying to force the hand on anybody right now because this is my first season in the offseason to see them. And like I said, he's a young quarterback. He's had success in college. He's had some success in the NFL. And you can't give up on those guys too early.
Is your approach to draft preparation and how you'll act Thursday through Saturday any different now than it was in San Francisco?
No, you know, I'm older. You know, maybe not as smart as I used to be, but no, it's the same process. It's long, it's very tedious, but it's very, very thorough. And even with the area scouts being here, they know everybody on that draft board, not just their area, but everybody in the country who we have up there. So no, it's the same. You know, I think it's very important to even with the players on game day and everything, where you're not surprised by anything. You know, you've been there, you've done it, you know, and act like that. You know, like I said, because it's a very positive 3 days for us because we can make the organization stronger. And I want everybody in this building to feel part of it, from the coaches to the secretaries to the scouts to the players. It's a one big family thing, and once you make a pick, it's ownership by the whole franchise. You know?
Scott, just to kind of piggyback on that thought, can you shed some insight on what the process has been in terms of getting everybody on the same page? So your vision versus the coaches, where you can really identify what your type of player is. And
yeah, you know, and the thing that's great about Jay, he's a lifer in football as I have been. You know, and it's nice because even with the whole staff, because a lot of these guys I'm new to too, you know, not just the head coach, you know, they understand my philosophy, but they also understand it's all of us together to try to find that player. You know, it's not going to be me making the pick Thursday. It's going to be us as a group because we've already met a lot. And anytime we have, you know, any kind of, you know, Jay thinks he's here, I think he's there, then we'll watch more tape and we'll talk it through. We'll get the area scouts involved and get the background, why we think this and that. Because when it's all said and done, you know, I have to make the final pick, but they're the ones coaching them. You know, and I have to understand, okay, listen, so we go to receiver, we're going X, we're going to go Z, you know, where's he going to line up, where's he falling on our depth right now, when do we think we get him on the field, and that all plays into where we take him, you know. But every coach is different, and it's hard to get everybody on the same page, but it's also a lot of respect. I respect their jobs, they respect our jobs, and we understand for us to be successful, we all have to be in it together. Don't have to always agree, but when the pick's made, we understand who we're getting and why we're getting them.
so when you're going through this transition period, would you tend to watch more film together as a group?
Yes. Just to get to know each other. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
One more thing from me. Can you shed some light on what your philosophy is in terms of acquiring draft picks? Some people go about it thinking that the more picks, the more chances you have to hit on players. Obviously, any pick in any slot is worth something, but do you feel like you're one who likes to acquire more picks to give you more chances?
I do, because we know if you can't acquire them, you can still use them to go back up if need be. If all of a sudden a good player starts falling, you have more ammunition to go back up and get it. But like I said, we have 7 right now. I'd love to get 10 out of this thing. You know, and we're not going to hit on everybody, but, you know, even those 7th rounders, you know, every year those guys are drafted, or even college free agents who are signed, you know, come in and make rosters, you know, and they're playing. You know, I want the coaches and scouts to be excited with that first pick as we are with the 7th round pick, because we figure anybody we draft has the opportunity to make the 53, not just a practice squad, but make the 53. Competition.
Having had a chance now to watch film and talk with the coaches that have come in, what part of the offense do you see as the biggest strength, and do you see the running game changing much with Bill Callahan being here now?
I think it will change. I think with the idea, you know, the past position coach that went on from here was more into like undersized, quicker, faster guys, more athletic guys. You know, Coach Callahan totally agree with my same philosophy. We want big, tough, nasty, strong guys. You know, because we want. You know, I was talking to Bruce about this morning. You know, we're not going to win every game, but I want this team when they go out. You get done playing the Washington Redskins, you know you played them. You're going to feel it. You know, I want those guys. And, you know, we get late in the year making playoff runs in cold weather and nasty games and field conditions. You need to be able to run the football. So I think it's vital. You know, but I think the receiving core as a whole is pretty good. You know, the O-line we're addressing. You know, 3 young quarterbacks, like I said. I feel really good about it. It's going to be really nice to see guys on the field doing football stuff, not just the weight room, you know, not just talking, but really moving around and making plays. And then, you know, we'll go from there. But like I said, we're not pigeonholing ourselves in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. So we have to go offense, we have to go defense. It's not that way. We're just going to go best player available.
With the players rolling in this week for workouts, what are some of the conversations you've had, and where are the things on their mind here with you taking over?
You know what? It's been very positive. Mike Clark, our new strength coach, I talked to him, I guess it would have been Friday evening. And, you know, last was our first full week. And we had great turnout. He says the guys are down there, they're working their tails off. He says he's very excited about the mentality, the personality, because he's been around the league a long time, you know, in college and the NFL. And they came in really good shape. I sat down with Trent Williams. He's in great shape. Talked to him. So it's nice to see that, see the energy level up, And it's hard this time of year because you are coming off a 4-12 season. You are, last in the division. So sometimes it's hard to get them fired up, get them going. But I think with me coming in and being new, got some of them to understand, listen, I better be there this first off season to make sure he understands that I'm all in, because the guys that are here, they're going to work their tails off. I think it's vital right now is when you start winning games on Sunday in the fall, them working together, taking care of each other.
Chris, your last one.
Scott, with the edge pass rusher, I guess, need on the team, what skill set there is most important to you that you identify the most that makes you feel good about a guy when you're
ability
evaluating?
to get to the quarterback. No, you know what? They come in all shapes and sizes. Again, I like big guys, long guys, with length, but you need to have speed and you need to have quickness, but you also need to have power. And if you get to all three, now you're talking about a really good prospect. But some guys just have two of the things or one of the things. It doesn't make them not a prospect for us. It's just a different value in the draft for us. But I think it's very important to have physical traits that allow you to dominate a guy one-on-one and get to the quarterback.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep. Thank you guys very much.